to walk through the first part of our SAP lab exercise, which is going to be our sales order processing. All right, this is the same thing we did in class, but I just want to kind of repeat it so you have it in case you get stuck somewhere along the line. All right, so we have a couple documents that are out on our class site here um, within our module. Let me take a look. One is this SAP log on, which will give you your password, the password you're going to need, as well as the log on sequence. All right, so we'll go through that, and then the other thing is the actual instructions for the sales order processing. Okay, so let's take a look at let's go through our login sequence here first for starters. Uh, so it's a Word document, and I'm going to go. So the fitter snacker. This is as we talked about. This is an SAP system that's located in Prague in the Czech Republic. The system we're going to use, the thing we need to know is we need to know this client number. All right, and then also your login ID. This is going to be my ID, and I'm going to be using product number 99 for the thing. So if you recall, this number right here becomes the key thing when you log on. This is the thing you want to make note of, because all these exercises, when they ask for if you look through it, you'll see like a pound sign, pound sign. What they're asking for is this number here. All right. Yeah. So if I log on, so I've actually already have pre-logged on, so we're already through the first part. But what you would do is you would enter just the client number, click login, and then after you log in, you will get after you log in, you'll see enter the client number, your login ID, the initial password, all right, which is fitter3, and then it'll prompt you to change the password, ask you for the fitter3, and then put your password and make a note of what your password is so you can come back in later on and work with it. Okay. So this is actually, so we're using what we call the web GUI for SAP. So the web GUI is a GUI, is a browser-based access into the SAP system. So right now we're connected via a browser into the system. It's I think it's in Prague. Okay, so this is as we had talked about this. This is the exercise. We are Fitter Snacks. So Fitter Snacker has two products, an A and a B. All right, advanced energy and bodybuilding proteins. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to create we're going to do some lookups on the system. All right, create a query in the system, and then from that query, we're going to save the query, and then we're going to create a sales order from that query. All right, so we'll just kind of we're going to step through the whole cycle end to end. All right, so remember we had talked about this whole idea of the order to cash cycle. All right, so we're going through the first couple steps of the order to cash cycle. All right, so we need to go to is on the SAP screen. We want you to go to logistics, sales and distribution, sales inquiry, create. All right, so we're going to go to logistics, sales and distribution, sales, inquiry, create. All right. Now you'll see just on the SAP, on this kind of SAP, on this SAP interface, you have all sorts of different things going on here. So you've got the shipping, transportation. We'll be looking at that for the shipping stuff, the billing, which is out there. That's all part of our that's all part of our sales. I think well that's kind of the sales execution. All right. Um, then we have logistics execution, we have production. Remember, we talked about an ERP system. It's one system that does everything. So you see all these different um, features and functions that you'd be doing inside of an operation. So plant maintenance handles all the physical maintenance of all the equipment that are in your plants. Your production systems handles the creation of process orders that defines what you're going to make and how you're going to make it, and tracks all of that. In addition to the materials you use, the products you make, and the costs associated with them. All right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. So we're really focused on the order to cash cycle. All right. So let's do our inquiry here. If I double click on that. All right. So the first thing it asks us to do is we want to create our inquiry. All right. So we've done this. So now what we're going to want to do is we want to do an IN for inquiry type. Your number, mine's going to be 99FS. DI for distribution channel, and SB for division. Remember, what happens is with the SAP system, everything is highly structured. There's an organization structure that is defined in the system that where all the data is organized. Okay, so we need to know, that's, and then this is all set up in advance. All this configuration and what we call the master data is all set up in advance, so it's out there, so we can use it when we're doing our order execution process. So we don't have to enter everything. All right. So it's an IN, and then our numbers IN. So this is going to be for the inquiry type. It's going to be IN. Your number is 99FS. Mine is 99FS. Yours would be whatever your number is, FS. The distribution channel would be DI. The division will be SB. And I think that's all we're asked for. I think if we just take it to our division, we should be good. All right, so let's go to take a look at our yeah. So all we need to do is just the division, right? And then we can enter from there. So let's go out and since this is the web GUI, ordinarily what you'll see, and you'll see in the documentation, you'll see like a little green arrow up here. All right, that is when you're using the standard GUI, which actually runs inside of your PC. We're using a browser, so it's a little bit different, but nothing that we shouldn't be able to work around. All right, so I press return on this. Come back and I get my create inquiry and overview screen. All right. So what I want to enter is I'm going to want to enter some information. So this scenario here, where you would end up doing this would be customer calls in, all right, and what they want to do is they're asking you to get a price or just some information about a product, all right, but they're not going to order right then, all right. So we can go ahead and do some lookups of some of the information, pull the stuff together in the inquiry, and then we'll have the ability to come back in. We can circle back around and use that inquiry to create the sales order. All right, that's really what we're doing. So if we look at our orders here, so we look at our steps on the process. So what we're going to do is we want to do a lookup on the sold to party. All right, so we're working on the assumption here. We don't know what these numbers are going to be. So we'll do a look on sold to party. And then when it comes up, what we will do is we will do a lookup for the search term of our number. Basically the number you're going to use. I'm going to use 99. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click this up here, and it's going to ask me for the search term, and I'm going to enter 99. Press return, and it's going to come back and it's going to give me a list of all of these, customers are at here. All right, so what we're going to do is I believe the one we want is the Kalamazoo one. So I'm going to come down here. So we want the West Hills Athletic Club, which in this case is the one that's in Kalamazoo. All right, so go over here, double click on Kalamazoo. And in my system, under my number here, it's sold to party 100. All right. So I've done that, entered that, and then what we will need to do is, see, so WH1 99 is where we're going to enter the purchase order number. All right, so let's do that, and then we can do our valid froms in a sec. Right, so we'll put a WH11 in our purchase order number. WH99. The purchase order number is really just is actually usually provided by the customer. All right. And, it references in the customer system what what the order, what they're going to charge this against. So this is more of a reference that we can use to look up the information after we create the order on our side. All right. So I've entered that. And then I think the next thing is going to ask us for is so next thing is the purchase order number, WH199. Then click on the valid from field so that we see the search icon. All right, so valid from is going to be under the item. It's going to be on this second one, item overview. Okay. Item overview. Valid from, we'll do the search term. And it's going to come up and we'll say, we'll do it from today. And valid to, similar thing, we'll make it a month from now. So we'll make it 5/12. All right. So that's in place. Let me go back to our doc. So we've done the valid from, the valid to. Okay. And then on the material field, we're going to want to check material here. Okay, so the material we're going to want to check is Same kind of deals. Basically, we don't know what it is, so we'll do a lookup on it. Not quite. Hang on. Here we go. No, not that one. Not that one. Probably when you have 20 things open at the same time. Hang on. Boom. It's the last one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my material here. Click my material, and it'll come up with a screen. And what I'm going to have the ability to do is I can look up by different criteria. And this criteria, what they call the category here, I can do a lookup based on all these different kinds of things depending upon what I know. Right. So what I do know for this case is we want to use material by material group. All right, so we'll have a material group, and then once again, that's some of the way the data in the system is organized, so we can do lookups on it. So we're going to look for material by material group. It's our last one. We know it's our last one. Let's see, material by material group, which is what's right here. You can do by all these other things, but this is the one we're most interested in. Okay, and our material group, if I do a lookup of my material groups, oh, that one. So do a material by material group. And click on the arrow next to the material group field. So I want to look up my material group. Okay. So in this case, it would look like this. I should. Oh, I was clicking the wrong one. So if you look on the icon, there's actually two icons side by side. So I was actually grabbing the wrong one. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take finished goods. So what you want to do is you want to sell your raw materials, right? You want to sell finished goods. So a material group of finished goods. So we've entered our finished goods. All right. And then we should be able to do a return, which will then give us a list of all of the different materials that are out there. Okay. So these are all different products that have these names. So this really reflects our inventory of what we can sell. All right. So in this case, what I'm going to want to sell is and then for the material description, I want to put a 99 star. So you would put whatever your number is star in the material description. So as you see down here, if you know what the number is, you can put the number in. But since we're operating, we don't know what the number is. So we're going to come back here. Let me close this for a sec. So we're going to say it's sales. And then my material description is going to be 99 star. I'm going to press return. And out of all of those materials, what I had looked at before is all the materials. Now I only want to look at, anything that's for customer 99. All right, so it's 90 or 99. So it's NRGA and NRGB. If we look at our what is asking us to select, so we want to take, so we're going to want to select NRGB. All right. And then when it'll bring that data, it'll bring that back, and then we can enter. We want to order a quantity of 10, or do a lookup on the system for a quantity of 10. All right, so we'll do B. And order quantity is going to be 10. Then I'm going to press return. And it's going to punch a bunch of information in, our SU, sales unit, a description. If the customer had a different material, knew it as a different material, we would put that there so we could find it. All right. And you know, our sold to, we also put our ship to party out there. And it actually gave us a net value on the order. All right. And then the expected order value was $7.96 in US dollars. All right, so it does some of this. So what happens as we enter this stuff, it's actually going back and automatically doing a lot of the calculations behind the scenes. So what we are going to want to do is, let's see what our next step is going to be. All right, so we've done this. Oh, and we can look at what they ask us to do is check on our, we'll look for the item conditions. All right, so this is just a display to kind of show you what this looks like. So the item conditions are the condition codes for what we call pricing conditions. All right, that's what this little looks like, a coin with a dollar sign on it. If I press that, what it does is this gives me a picture of how we calculate the price for this. All right, so as you can see, there's a lot that can go into the calculation of a price. All right, so this is really designed to kind of let us program the logic behind the creation of the price for that particular item for that particular customer, because theoretically every customer could have his own price, or it could have a different price depending upon where you're going to ship it to, or it could have a different price based upon how you ship it. So all these different factors get kind of brought together, or stored in the system behind the scenes that we can use, that we can then take it and automatically do that calculation for us. All right. All right, so we've done that. We've done our conditions. All right, and then we can go back and then, so that's actually what will happen is that's just an inquiry about what's going on. When we create the order, it'll grab that information and build it for the order. But for right now, we're just, as I said, we're just going in and kind of looking at stuff. All right. So I can go back. If I click this here, this will take me back a screen. All right, look familiar. All right. If I click this field here, this next icon, this will tell me the availability. All right, and the availability becomes important to make sure that if you're going to sell something, that you got it. Because what will happen is you're going to commit to what you want to be able to do is commit to the customer. Okay, we'll be able to get this quantity to you within this um, time frame. All right. So if I select, if I select my item and I click this, it'll do an availability check, and it'll do an analysis of. It'll do a quick capture of, okay, what do I have floating around in the system? How many other orders do I have for this? Um, and what happens is this gets tied back to the manufacturing side of the house as well, because what will happen is as you draw upon your inventory, and you sell stuff, you need to replenish that stock. So the organization that's responsible for replenishing the stock is the production side. So the production side, this is where the production side and the sales side kind of comes together. This is shared information that the sales side of the house wants to be able to commit to sell something, but we can't sell something if we don't have it. All right. And then we want to, and if we don't have it, we want to make sure that the manufacturing group knows about that or is aware of what the demand is coming in for the products. Right, so just give you a little background of kind of what's going on behind the scenes with this. All right. See what we're going to take us to next here. I think it's going to want us to go back. Inquiry overview screen. We do our availability check. All right, and then I'm going to go back and then save it. All right, so let me go back. So I've done my availability. We've got stuff. All right. We can go back in order. And then we're going to save it. When this comes back, I'm going to save this inquiry. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says inquiry 100075 has been saved. So when you get the thing about SAP systems or the interaction is, you got to kind of know where to look at. So the messages show up all the way at the bottom of the screen here in itty bitty little type. So, okay, so we've got, I've got an inquiry out there. So let's where we want to go to next. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is now we've got an inquiry which shows us all this information about the material and the availability of the material, and then customer, we gave them that information. Customer went back, then they called us up again and said, "Hey, we want to do this. For everything we'd asked about, everything we talked about, we want to be able to put that over." So the fact that we've saved it as an inquiry means we don't have to go back and do that, enter all that data all over again. We're going to create the order from the inquiry. All right. So in order to do that, we're going to go to logistics, sales and distribution, sales, order, create. All right. So I'm going to go back to, so I want to do sales, order, create. All right. And then we have to enter. So there's a couple bits of information we're going to have to enter. All right. So the first bit of information that's on our list here, after I'm going to create my order. I'm going to do a create with reference. So I'm going to put my OR for the order type. All right. I'll put this, we'll enter this information. So it'll be OR for the order type, our number for, and then our sales and for organization, distribution, division, put those in, and then click on the Create with Reference. So I'm going to have an OR. All right. This information was still out there from the work we had done before. Okay. And then we have the Create with Reference. If you'll note, the interface looks a little bit different on the web interface, right? But it's the same, works the same way. Right? So we'll Create with Reference. And it's going to come back and it's going to ask us. Now what happens is we can create a reference from a whole bunch of different ways. All right, so we can create a reference, we can create a quote, we can create a quotation. Usually standard approach would be is, okay, customer calls up, you generate a quotation. All right, here's your product, here's the availability, here's the price, and you send it to them, they evaluate it, come back in. In our case, we didn't do a quotation, we were going to do an inquiry. All right, and this will ask us for the inquiry number or the ID. All right, and what we knew, let's see, let's go back and see what they asked us to do. So in this case, we're going to I'm going to do an inquiry. We'll select that, create this pop-up window. All right, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to enter the things we got to enter: the partner function, which is SP, the sales organization, which is our 99FS, and one for the transaction group. There's 3 things we have to enter to be able to look up the query we created. All right, so that's going to be SP, and it's already there. Let's see if the sales organization, so it will not, let's see. So yeah, sometimes the GUI on this is a little peculiar. Make sure you also get the right sales documents by, hang on a sec, we'll do a search by. So we have to do sales documents by customer. All right, one of the things we have to know. So it's sales documents by customer is the tab we want to make sure we're on. All right, so run sales documents by customer. Let me go back. Hang on. It should give us, for some reason, on my screen, I'm not getting what I want to see here. So let's take that. Sold to party has to be entered under partner function. SP. Make sure that that is entered. And one is entered for the transaction group. All right, so let's take a look again. Because sometimes these things, could be very um, temperamental sometimes. So you have to kind of have some patience working with it. It's one of those things we don't necessarily do super fast. Let me see that. Yeah, for some reason it will not let me get to my transaction group. I think I might be able to. Let's do a lookup by something. We'll do a little bit of a change here. We'll go back. I believe I created it, so you should be able to come in and actually FFAC 3. Let's see if this will created by. Well, didn't find anything for that. I don't think I entered that right though. So let's see, FF. All right, I think it's better. Okay, let's see if it finds that. Boom, got it. Okay, so this is, so you can do lookups by different things. And for some reason, I couldn't see the transaction group, so I pulled an audible here and I used my login ID to do the lookup. I think it's this top one. This is the one, the WH199, because that's the one with the different purchase order number. All right, so if I click this, and this is a query. This is actually the query. The query is out there. You can also, if you know what the query is, you can actually just put the query in. But we'll do them. All right. So we found this number here. We'll do a copy. And you'll note it went back out and it populated all the data that was on the query. So all this data that was on our original query, if we wanted to go back, we can go back and look at our pricing. Well, let's look at our availability as well. Oh, needs a new PO number, sorry. We'll give it a different, we'll give it WH199. Here we go. It was demanding we put the purchase order number in. All right, there's our pricing. And there's our availability. If you'll note, our requirements, -10, is being recorded. Let's go back. If I do a save, what we will get is a message, standard order 54 has been saved. All right, so there's a sales order number 54 for those products for that customer, for all the stuff we went through. Okay, so it really had wrapped up there on Friday. I was going to go a little bit farther here. walk through maybe some of the additional steps. So we've created our sales order, sales order 54. All right. Now, once we create once we've saved the sales order, it'll pop up a little message at the bottom of the screen, and then we can now create the delivery. All right. So in real world, what will happen is the sales organization, from the sales organization's perspective, they're done. Their job is done. All right, except if the customer calls up and wants to know kind of status and things like that. But they, the folks who are actually putting the sales order in are not going to be creating the delivery. It's the folks in the distribution department that's going to be creating the delivery. All right, and they could be in the same building. They could be all the way on the other side of the planet. All right, so it's not, location is not an issue here. All right, so the way we do this, we want a logistics, sales, distribution, shipping and transportation, outbound delivery. All right. Create single with reference to sales order. All right, so we've got a couple layers down in this menu. So I'm going to go to, so we have number 54. So I'm going to go exit. All right. So we have our logistics. I'll close this one as well. So shipping and transportation, outbound delivery, create single document, and create with reference to sales order. So we're down a couple. As I said, we're down there pretty deep. All right, and it actually happens to have our sales order number in here, which is because I just created it, but there's no guarantee we would have that. So if you don't, you could look it up. There's where we could do queries. So what we're going to do is we're going to ship this from a particular point. It's what we call we talked about this before organizationally, organizational structures. It's what we call the shipping point. All right. So our shipping point is going to be our number SP. So mine's going to be 99 SP. And then we're going to click return. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to do, shipping point is going to be 99 SP. Oh, no, it works better if you enter the correct name. 99 SP, and our order number is out there, so let's just press return. And here we go. Different screen. This is an outbound delivery for the order we just created. Okay. So what they're going to ask us to do now on this outbound order so all I have to do, shipping point, press icon. So everything looks good. If I want to create a delivery, all I have to do is save it. And I'll get a message, outbound delivery will be saved. So let's take a look to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. Here's my delivery. I come up here to save. I click save. And at the bottom of the screen, I have a message saying 8000045 has been saved. All right. So I've created a delivery, and then the next thing I'm going to do with the delivery, I'm going to stop here. You guys can walk through the rest of it. But once we have the delivery created, what we'll do is there's a couple things we'll do. We'll do step you through creating a lot of times what we'll want to do is we'll want to do a verify our stock and requirements. All right, so we can kind of look what's going on, because if you're in a warehouse, a lot of stuff's flying around. So so you want to make sure that what you're going to pull is what you have, what you're going to pull. So we have logistics, stock requirements list. If you follow to that path, and it'll tell us what plant. So give us some information about the plant where we want to pull it from. So there's a delivery out there. All we need to do is execute it. Now we can. One of the things we can check on in the system is what we call the document flow. So we'll just stop. We'll demonstrate the document flow, and then we can go back to it. So our document flow, all right, that was created. All right, so if I go back and I look at my order, I'll exit this. And if I go to my, let's see, sales, inquiry, I guess what I can do, a couple different ways to do this. Let me do it a different way. I'm not going to do an inquiry. I'm going to actually look at the order. I know what the order number is. Order is 54. So I'm going to double click this. Oh, didn't like that. See if it likes this. Maybe not. No, it doesn't look very promising here. Okay, all right. Well, I'll stop. But with the document flow, it actually will take you to what the document flow is. As every document is being created, it's creating a list of everything it's being done. All right, so it starts, from, the creation of the order. When we create the order, it will, it actually creates a document called the order. And when I create a delivery from that order, it will create another document called the delivery document, and so on and so forth. So as we're executing this process, we'll create different documents. Each document will have a different number. All right, it'll have a different type because obviously an order is different than a delivery. All right, and a delivery is different than an invoice. All right, but every one of these documents will have is a different type and will have a different number. But the document flow will, let's see, if this ever come back. No, I don't think something got knocked out. All right, but if you follow through, it should take you through the rest. It'll take you through those steps. So, all right. So if you have a question, so keep kind of move through this. If there's questions about it, send me an email. We'll try to work through it. But I think if you can get this far, you should be able to work your way through the remaining pieces. Just take your time with it. Kind of follow the steps. Follow the steps one piece at a time. All right. That's about it.